In my time as pastor, I have learned I didn't know what I was getting into. Would I do it all over again, knowing what I know now? Absolutely. I would get into it, and maybe even not maybe, even make some different decisions. So here is this would be the third video in my story, just kind of telling my story in the last 11 years, walking alongside of what was Seminole Heights Baptist Church and now Harvest Baptist Fellowship as their pastor, being alongside of them. And then here is probably, it might take a couple of videos, but this first video is probably one of the hardest, not the hardest thing I've ever done in ministry. And so here we go. We're going to show some clips. I also have some links in the bottom, so that in the description. So if you want to see some of the unfiltered content, if you want to see the city council meetings and all of that stuff, and even read some newspaper articles that I might reference, not by name, but I might reference, I want you to look and see the whole picture. So here we go.
It was glossed over, but I have the word possibly, but potentially eligible. Possibly, potentially eligible. We're here because something is potentially eligible, possibly eligible. No one ever asked us if they could come on our property. No one ever asked us if they could change our designation. They just ran right over us. I don't like being run over. Maybe that's why I'm a little fired up.
Also happening today, some neighbors are fighting to save a more than 70-year-old church from demolition. They're asking city leaders to designate the Seminole Heights Baptist Church as a historic landmark.
But as ABC Action News reporter Lauren Rosella shows us, it could end up costing the church big time.
The bright white steeple is a sign you're entering Tampa's Seminole Heights neighborhood. People living here say it's one of the most beautiful pieces of architecture predating the construction of I-275.
This church is very much a symbol of hope, and is very much in keeping in step with this resurgence of this neighborhood.
But the congregation of the Seminole Heights Baptist Church is looking to sell this building. That could end up leading to its demolition. Several neighborhood groups are now going before the Historic Preservation Commission on Tuesday, asking for the city to recommend a historic designation.
It's a symbol of the neighborhood. It welcomes us when we come home. It welcomes people into the gateway of Tampa.
However, the pastor here at Seminole Heights Baptist Church says this decision has been anything but easy.
They have spent months on what to do.
Pastor Brant Adams saying a historic designation could vastly devalue the property and their ability to sell it because the building would have to be preserved.
And we just want to be able to do with our property as we see fit.
He says the cost to maintain this more than 70-year-old church are high, and they want to be able to use the congregation's money in other ways, including community service efforts. But some neighbors maintain this is a structure worth saving.
We should challenge our architects to work items like this into our neighborhood foundation and not just accept dollar stores and strip malls.
Lauren Rosella, ABC Action News.
From I-275 at Hillsborough Avenue, it's hard to miss the iconic steeple and the church below. It's a landmark to many, but it's a burden to its congregation and Pastor Brant Adams.
We've spent almost $1 million on the building in the last 5 years, right at $1 million. I can't imagine what we could do with $1 million with helping different ministries.
Adams says the Seminole Heights Baptist Church needs nearly $9 million worth of repairs. It was built in 1949 and grew for years with a congregation of 1,500, but now it's down to just 75.
Our church loves the building they're in, but they love their call, they love what they're here for more than their building.
So Adams and his parishioners went to the city's Historic Preservation Commission with an unusual request to demolish their own church. Several neighborhood leaders pleaded to save the church as historical, an irreplaceable part of Seminole Heights.
It's a building. Buildings come and buildings go. Nothing in this life is permanent.
The pastor says the original church was built here in 1921 and was torn down to make way for this one. He says those who originally built the church would see it as he does.
What can we do to propel our church in the future another 50 years? We're not a real estate company. We don't manage buildings.
In the end, the commission decided the church doesn't meet the criteria for historical protection, clearing the way for demolition and sale.
I think that means a lot, that somebody can build something take care of it, and do with it as they see fit.
But others say part of Seminole Heights will be lost when a landmark meets the wrecking ball. Lloyd Sowers, Fox 13 News.
That steeple has never given one family food from our food pantry. That steeple has never pulled one tooth from our free mobile dental clinic. That church has never helped one family get on their feet. That steeple has not. It's the people. It's the people. So when I from here on out, as I read, when I say church, I mean people. I don't mean a steeple. I don't mean brick buildings. I don't mean stained glass windows. I don't mean pillars. I don't mean ratty old parking lots. I mean people. The church, the people, a people that remember as kids, some as young adults, as the building going up, people who personally saved and their parents saved to lay brick, a people whose fathers actually laid the brick and poured concrete, the people who have paid handsomely through the years for the building, and still all the money was not enough. These are the people that voted on 2 separate occasions to go forward their rights as a property owner of that red brick building. The church is vehemently opposed to that building being anything but a place where God's people gather. As people with responsibility, you all know, I know as a pastor, responsibility as a father of 5. Sometimes I have people telling me what they think I should do. I have people telling me what they think is right and wrong. But at the end of the day, you and I are both accountable to do what's right. That steeple has never given one family food from our food pantry. That steeple has never pulled one tooth from our free mobile dental clinic. That church has never helped one family get on their feet. That steeple has not. It's the people. It's the people. So when I from here on out, as I read, when I say church, I mean people. I don't mean a steeple. I don't mean brick buildings. I don't mean stained glass windows. I don't mean pillars. I don't mean ratty old parking lots. I mean people. The church, the people, a people that remember as kids, some as young adults, as the building going up, people who personally saved and their parents saved to lay brick, a people whose fathers actually laid the brick and poured concrete, the people who have paid handsomely through the years for the building, and still all the money was not enough. These are the people that voted on 2 separate occasions to go forward their rights as a property owner of that red brick building. The church is vehemently opposed to that building being anything but a place where God's people gather. As people with responsibility, you all know, I know as a pastor, responsibility as a father of 5. Sometimes I have people telling me what they think I should do. I have people telling me what they think is right and wrong. But at the end of the day, you and I are both accountable to do what's right.
So as you watch these videos, you see more gray hair on my face and in my hair. And this situation gave a lot of those gray hairs to me. So first, I want to start off by saying I really want to try to be positive, to know that there were some unfair treatment given to our church, to me personally, even in media, by newspaper or social media. But then there was also, you saw a video from Fox 13, I believe it was, that also were very fair, just stating the thing. That's all, don't need opinion. And most of the TV media was fair. And so the social media wasn't fair, and there might have been some things. And also, if you read the link and you read the newspaper article that says that we didn't respond to them after some emails and phone calls, they did call, they did email, but at that point, we just got to the point where I was tired of it. And also because of some things that were words I said were manipulated, maybe not particularly by that organization, but just reached the point where I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And we were just going to tell our story. And we've told our story for the last 5 years. And so we just get into it. And so we did get some fair treatment. We got some unfair treatment. And here's the truth about this is the church did not seek this. We didn't go out of our way to seek this. It was not our goal. We didn't set out to do anything to demolish the old building. In fact, we tried very hard to keep that building. As pastor, I sought many avenues. I reached out to many different organizations, to larger churches, to different things, to seek different avenues. And just the opportunities never arose. And so then as pastor, seeking those opportunities and praying, I got a email out of nowhere and was sat on it. I sat on it for a couple of weeks. And after a couple of weeks, I sent this email. I forwarded it to three church members, and they prayed about it. And we did some background checks and some vetting to see is this a real deal? And then we started the process. I actually went and met in the homes of some of our most elder members, longest standing members, current members. If you read the newspaper article, you'll read people that were not active members of the church. They weren't active members. And some of the people in the newspaper articles you might read, I had never met. And so, so as we started this process and doing that, the church was a year into the process before it became public. So if you're involved in church life and know that you can have a several meetings on Thursday nights, several meetings by the church at whole, and the body, the membership invited, and they have those meetings, and then if you weren't in the meeting, you don't find out about it. That's pretty remarkable. That's pretty amazing. And so we moved on, and as you watched the video of me standing in the commission, that was during COVID. And the interesting thing about that is the local government had advised against churches meeting, and this was in June, but they advised against churches meeting. And yet my folks had to come to that meeting, and they came. He's distancing and all that nonsense that we dealt with in that time. But God moved on that day. God moved, and he gave us provision, and God is still doing that. He's still providing for our church. And the other interesting thing about it is that we were moved up on the docket for some reason. We were supposed to be like fourth, and it was supposed to be later on the meetings, and we got moved up for some reason. And we moved up on that day in June, and then a couple of days after that, the commissions and all this stuff had to stop because there was a COVID outbreak because we were meeting at the convention center to spread out. And so over the next while, between when this came public until the time that in October when we moved out, and then even till December when we moved to Himes Avenue, and even into February and March of the next year, I received many emails that were not pleasant, we'll say. My family would, lots of stuff posted on social media about myself and about my church, mostly about me, and it lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, but it's okay. I think I received my last nasty email, letter, or voicemail or anything like that in 2022. It lasted about 2 years of just some nasty things. Maybe nothing that arises to the point of 2025 culture, but in 2020 to 2022, they were rocking pretty good about making accusations against me, saying things about me that, and it was said that the pastor was going to steal all the money or get a lot of the money. In fact, the pastor didn't get any. The pastor got a raise, but not a substantial. He got the normal raise that he would have gotten. He didn't get, there was no money shuffled into his account from the sale. It was said that the church members were going to get money. Well, if you know anything about nonprofits, the churches couldn't get any of the money or legal ramifications. They didn't do that. That was not their desire. It was said that by several former church members and folks that I'd never met. And keep in mind, I had been with the church at that point for 5 years, almost 6 years. Several former church members like to speak, and I'd never met any of them. And they talked about how they loved the building and their memories, but in 5 years, I'd never met them. They'd never come to see me. They had never come to even talk to me. And so I think that's what bothered me the most was people that claim Christ and just destroying, coming after us, saying that the church was led by demonic forces and all kinds of crazy things. And so, and I think that's what affected me the most was people that claim Christ and attacking and not following the model of Matthew. If you have a problem with your brother, go to them directly. Well, they weren't even a part of our church. And some people that were quoted had never been a part of our church, but that's okay. That's okay. And so though we had many detractors, we also had many supporters. God gave us fantastic attorneys. He gave us fantastic provisions to pay for those attorneys. He gave us partners that helped us to do those things. He put us in line with people. Me personally, he put me in contact with people. I was able to seek advice and wisdom from more experienced pastors that are far better at their job than I am or ever will be. And they were able to give advice and just help us. So here's what I learned. Seek the Lord, seek him in sincerity, and seek him in humility. I walked around 801 East Hillsborough Avenue several times praying. I knew that building so well, I could walk through that building with my eyes closed. And I would walk and just pray and ask God to guide. And God guided. One time I was walking through after the sale was almost close and I was doubting. And I said, God, God, can you help me? Can you help me? I'm doubting. I had my eyes closed. I mean, foolishness, sure, but I had my eyes closed, and I was walking through a building that I could walk through in the dark and with my eyes closed and a blindfold on. And I tripped over a piece of carpet that had rolled up because Hurricane Irma came and dumped about 4 inches of water in our sanctuary through the steeple that everyone loves so much. The steeple did tens of thousands of dollars of damage, and the insurance company said it was wind driven, so we couldn't get covered. And so I was seeking the Lord in prayer, and I was praying as we were getting close. I'm like, God, I'm doubting. And then I tripped over a piece of the rolled up carpet, and I missed the corner of a pew by about that much, nearly hitting my head. I'm like, okay. And then after the building was sold, and then keep in mind, this is a building we've spent about $1 million on. After the building was sold, and we spent 300 grand on the roof, after the building was sold, and I was handing over the keys on a Tuesday, I walked upstairs, and the windows were leaking, and the upstairs in the kids area, water was soaked into the hallway on the floor. Again, God reminding me that we did the right thing. And then also after it was over, when they began to cross-section the building, plumbing was failing, roof structure was failing, all sorts of things were going on that when in the video you saw it, $8 or $9 million. It probably, at COVID prices, would have probably cost us about $15 million in 2020, 2021. And then I also learned, so I learned seek the Lord in humility and in sincerity. I also learned that people will attack you if they do not like what you're saying or they refuse to understand. If they would have just simply called, let's have a conversation. Nobody did that. They just wanted to attack. And then I learned to have thick skin. Yes, thick skin, the shield of faith. Just have thick skin. I didn't have thick skin as I thought I did, but I did. I have my skin is thicker now. My hide is tougher now. And I learned that people often accuse you of what's in their own heart. Have you ever had somebody say, well, you meant this? And I'm like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. That was not my intention. I learned it's easier to destroy people than it is to sit down and have conversation. I've learned that to have honest questions is okay, but I've learned that people would rather tear down than to build up. Those in that room on 2020, in June of 2020, saw an amazing thing happen. They saw God move. And I think there's more for me to talk about, and we'll do that in the future. But I just wanted to share a little bit about my journey, my thoughts, and just to capsule a little bit on something that had a huge impact on my life. It had a huge impact on our church family. Yes, it even had a huge impact on the visual landscape of Hillsborough Avenue in Nebraska. Yes, that part of Tampa looks different now. It sure does. But I'm going to say in all these things, God was honored and God directed us. And also I'll say that in all of the church meetings by the members, every vote for the sale of that building at 801, every vote was unanimous. Unity in the body is a sign that God is pleased. Whether you agree with me or not, that's your opinion, that's your life, that's your thoughts. But this is my video sharing my perspective, giving you just a little window of what it was like for us as we journeyed to relocation, as we journeyed through doing with our building as Seminole Heights Baptist Church as we see fit. Hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless.